Symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer. In the jewelry business, there is no substitute for experience. David Adamson has over 46 years of experience, 32 of those in Lynn Haven. Designing and creating fine jewelry is more than a job for David, it's a joy. If you're looking for a spectacular jewelry design that says you, or perhaps you need your jewelry repaired, look no further than David Adamson Designer Jewelry. All work is done in-house and always to your complete satisfaction. Stop in today at David Adamson Designer Jewelry, 830 Ohio Avenue in Lynn Haven. They're on Facebook and at tcjeweler.com.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin. UVB rays burn. And both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now we're taking...
With the first pick.
This is the last ball you got to bat. The Inside Drive. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good Monday morning. What a Monday it is. A lot of winner take all games going on tonight, both in the NHL and the Men's College World Series. Lots of golf to talk about as well. Today we got Michael Shears in the house, Marty from Boston, and of course DJ Davey Crockett behind the glass. Do-do-do-do-do-do. That's what he was going to do. I just beat him to it. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe along the beautiful Forgotten Coast. You can watch, listen, like, comment, just share, subscribe, all the other verbs that you can do on social media, Facebook, X, and YouTube. Just search ESPN Northwest Florida. Download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. Jay, oh man, he's still not here, but I'll give him a break this week. He's going up, take his kids up to Atlanta for a nice little dessert. A lot going on at Bay Point this week. The Billfish Open's going on, so I think it was the perfect opportunity for him to get a little break, you know, coming off 3 straight junior camps. I know you helped out quite a bit with that as well. But again, you can download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. That one, you got to throw 104.3 in front of it. And then, of course, you can follow us on TikTok, Inside.Drive. And then last but not least, you can head over to ESPNPC.com. Today is the last day to vote for Best of Bay.
Gotta vote.
If you haven't yet, do it now. I know you guys got tons of email addresses. I can't even say you can do it once per day per email address. You can do it today per email address. Get on there. The website's right there. I've also posted it in our comments here on the live Facebook show. We've got lots of ESPN Northwest Florida shows in there. In fact, all 3 live shows, and then, of course, Sam Peebles with the Braves Dugout podcast. You can find us in radio personality, TV personality, and then Coach Hale and Sam slid into the event planner, weddings, and DJ category as well. So
covering all the bases.
Yeah, covering all the bases. But give us a vote. We appreciate you. We're trying to make our 7th year here at ESPN Northwest Florida the first year we get a Best of Bay winner, and I think it's going to happen. So we can't do it without you guys voting. Gentlemen, how's everybody doing today? Michael, I know it's been a while since you hung out in studio with us.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me back. Always good to get in here.
Absolutely. We're going to talk a lot of golf here probably in the first hour. Marty from Boston, what are you thinking tonight?
Florida. It's got to be Florida.
I don't know. You've worn that jersey many a time. And how's it gone so well the last 3?
Well, I was thinking about it. I had this debate earlier, and I think you and I were chatting about it off air. Do you watch the game with sound or no sound? And it just clicked.
Okay, Mac Miller.
I think my house money cats were winning when I was out at the bars. So
you're going to go to a bar this evening?
Well, it depends on who I bet.
That's true. That's true. Regardless of what happens, we're going to have history, no doubt about that. But that brings us to our poll question today, Bill, and I think you had a good one for today. Again, sports related, but until Jay comes back, we kind of lose the toilet humor and the bathroom humor poll question. So
it's fair. So no, we'll keep it classy for a Monday morning. So we both have Stanley Cup game number 7, then game 3 for College World Series. Poll question for today: overtime or extra innings? Yes or no?
So it's either both or
it's just gonna be one or the other. Doesn't
okay,
matter.
yes or no?
Just extra ball, extra puck.
Do you think it'll happen, or do you want it to happen?
I so want it to happen.
What's the poll question, though? Do you think it'll happen, or do you want it to happen?
Do you think it'll happen?
Okay.
Everybody wants.
So extra innings or overtime in the 2 championship games tonight? Yes or no?
What if we do like which is more likely?
Ooh. All right. Sold.
Bingo. That's why he's the boss.
There you go. Behind the glass.
But we're stuck in the glass.
I'm in the penalty box.
That's true.
Are we in the fishbowl then?
I think so.
Okay.
Except without the fish eyes. So there you go. Poll question. What is more likely to happen? The NHL going into a Game 7 overtime, which would be epic. I think there's been 18 Game 7s in Stanley Cup history, or the College World Series going into extra innings. What do you think, Michael?
I'm going to take overtime in hockey.
I 100% agree. I think that's
less scoring.
Less scoring,
so.
more like, although the...
We'll see what McDavid says.
Yeah, the Edmonton Oilers have been on fire the last several games. We'll dive a lot more into that hockey later on in the show today. But speaking of the Men's College World Series, Game 3, winner take all tonight. First game was kind of, I don't want to say dominated, but first game, Texas A&M won that one 9-5, kind of got out heavy. Tennessee tried to make a late comeback, but just a little too short. And then yesterday, even in the bottom of the 9th, Texas A&M got 2 runners on, but couldn't convert, and Tennessee won that 4-1, forcing a Game 7 tonight at 6 p.m. A lot of action on tonight. What do you guys think about tonight's game?
I'm taking the Aggies.
Yeah?
I don't know if they can pull it out, but I'm pulling for the Aggies.
I got Tennessee because I bet them at the end of last week. So I'm going to stick with the bet.
There you go. That team hasn't won as the number 1 seed since 1999.
So I was saying, if you're the coach Tennessee, get a little Prince and the Revolution going.
Yeah.
Party like it's 1999.
I like it. Strategery there. I will say an SEC team will win tonight. No. David, what do you think?
I think an SEC team will win. I like that bet. I wish they had that on Hard Rock. I'd smash that over and over again. I'm going to go with Texas A&M, man. I've been riding with them throughout really super regionals to this point.
I think you've been riding with them since we did the regional pool.
Yeah.
Which seems so long ago.
It really does. But, I mean, hey, they had that 1-run lead for a majority of the game. Yeah. I think it was the 7th inning where Tennessee kind of just exploded there. So we'll see, man. But I'm going to keep riding with the Ags.
There you go. And you know the catcher that hit that home run yesterday, too.
I do.
Appel?
Yeah. Nice. So he was one of my college roommates' best friends in high school. And he played at UPenn for a couple of years. And when he would drive back to Houston, he would always stop in Nashville.
How about that? So that is awesome.
He came and stayed with us a time or two, and we've been following him. So it's been great.
That's cool, man.
He grew up a huge A&M fan. They all did. So it's been great for him.
That's awesome.
There's nothing more special than that, playing for the team that you grew up rooting for.
Absolutely. I mean, pretty much you'll take any kind of, getting to it. But if you can go to the team that you've loved and grew up watching, that's pretty special too. But it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully it's a close game, not a blowout. I think we're thinking that for both of them. But just after tonight, the College World Series will officially come to an end up there. And I know the Jello shots for Texas A&M and Tennessee have been off the hook lately. I think both of them are eclipsed or getting close to the 30,000 mark. Also, I want to congratulate you, Michael. We had the Florida State Golf Association Florida Open qualifier. We've never done that at Bay Point before, and we had one on Saturday, and you ended up shooting a nice little 67 -5 and being the medalist heading to the Florida Open.
I did. It was great. Always fun to play a qualifier like that at the home course. It just, as hard as it can be, it does give you a little bit of an advantage, and hopefully in the future I won't have to qualify for it.
Yeah.
But if I do, hopefully it can come back to Bay Point.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you're going to have to qualify it in the future. I'm excited to see what you do. Where's it being played?
We are playing in Ocala. I think it's Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian,
Okay.
and then also Ocala Country Club.
Okay, nice.
So we'll do 18 holes at each one the first 2 days, and then the final round is played at Golden Ocala.
Nice. And Golden Ocala is the replica course, isn't it, with all the different...
I think so, and I found that out today, but I don't know anything about it other than that now, so I'm excited to get down there.
I know they've played some LPGA Tour events there before, and I know a member at one of the clubs I was at in South Carolina, he went down there and played all the time and says Golden Ocala is just an awesome course. I think Ocala Country Club is as well, but that's not too far away either, It's
not too bad.
It could be worse if we were
4.5 or so.
if you're going down to Tampa or even, going down to South Florida, because it's almost like in the whole Florida State Golf Association, we should really be part of like the Alabama Golf Association or something like that. It's kind of crazy. But I mean, that's why Florida's split into 3 different PGA sections. You got the Alabama Northwest Florida PGA, you got the North Florida, and you got the South Florida. It's a big state with 3 sections, even though South Carolina and North Carolina were all one section. I was in that for a long time. That's why I didn't play in a lot of tournaments, because being on the border of South Carolina and Georgia, most of the tournaments were
very close.
Yeah, not very close at all, unless we hosted one at our particular tournament. But a couple guys you played with too. Also, the other one qualified, and the one's the first alternate.
Yeah, we had a great group. I really feel bad for Eddie. He played really solid. Went out there and shot 3 under. Didn't make a whole lot of mistakes, and we were the third group out, and we had those 2 scores posted, and he knew at that point that he wasn't getting in. And I think that's what's tough about the Florida Open is you're qualifying for so few spots because there are so many qualifiers.
Automatics, yeah.
Just because the state is so big.
Absolutely.
But it's always good when you've got a solid group. You can kind of feed off of each other. And, it's easy to think, too, like if I was playing with some guys that weren't playing quite as well and not really playing a whole lot of competitive rounds at Bay Point, I would have thought that, 3, 4, 5 under would have just cruised on in.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to keep my foot down the whole round. So that's always good to kind of have that to keep pushing you, and you don't get too conservative coming in.
Definitely. I mean, with your goal, you're still trying to, make it to the tours and all that. So even in an event like this, which is to get in a Florida Open, to have that kind of pressure, it's only going to help you in the long run. Absolutely. But, getting back to what you were saying about playing the golf course you play all the time, yes, it's an advantage, but I think, people who follow, and I just growing up remember this because I played in a couple of Hooters Tour events at the club I worked at because we got an exemption because we were hosting the event. Like, I feel like there's that preconceived notion that you should shoot well because it's your home course. So I think it can go both ways where, you get a little confidence, the golf course. That's one thing you don't have to worry about. But at the same time, it's hard not to think, okay, I played this golf course all the time. I should shoot it well.
Exactly. You walk out there and, you know how to play every hole. You've probably made a birdie here and there on pretty much every hole out there over the course of, for me, it's been a year. And so you kind of tee off on every hole expecting to play it perfectly, and that's just not going to happen in a round of golf. Mistakes will happen. And I was telling you yesterday, you start seeing things out there that you don't normally see. And I hit some different clubs off some tees that I don't always hit when I'm just out there practicing or messing around. And I think, again, there is an advantage knowing how to play the golf course. And I think of number 14 or 13, for an example, the short par 4. They had the pin all the way in the front right. And everybody in my group laid up. There's nowhere really with that pin to hit driver or 3-wood up there and have a good chance to get up and down. But both of those guys pushed it up there to like 65 yards and didn't really have a very good chance. And I hit 7-iron off the tee. I laid way, way back to have a full shot in. And that's just kind of one of those moments where if you don't play out here all the time, you don't really know that.
Yeah, that's a
so just
great
kind of
example.
Throughout a whole 18 holes, kind of little things like that can save you a quarter of a shot, like they add up.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. I mean, and I remember we've done several U.S. Open local qualifiers out there, and the people that seem to shoot the best always laid up on 13 and laid up to, like you said, more in that 100 yards, 110 yard area, so you can actually control the shot, because you think you can get close to the green and you're going to have an automatic birdie, but the way that complex is, you got water left around the back and even a little bit on that right side, you can easily have a bogey, which you could potentially lose 2 shots on the field.
I think if you get a pin in the back there, you can start to think about pushing it up there, because even if you hit it right,
you got all that
and it
room,
somehow goes in the water, you can drop, and you've got a pretty easy pitch up there. Now left is no good.
Yeah.
If you miss left there to a back left pin, you're just going to make a 5.
Yep.
But with a front pin like that, there's just no sense in pushing it all the way up there. It's going to be hard to get it in a good spot.
Absolutely. But hey, you did the smart move, and here you are going to play. And what's that, coming up middle of July?
I think so. I think it's the 19th through the 21st down there.
Nice.
So.
And each state, each golf association has their open, and the beautiful thing about their opens is it's not only, it's just like the U.S. Open. It's an amateur and professional event, so you'll be competing for a pretty decent purse, if I remember correctly.
I think it's $125,000 purse with 20 or 25 to the winner. So
there you go.
Hopefully go down there and play well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be a great way to keep the summer going.
Absolutely. And I think to re-qualify and get back in, I don't think you have to finish like really low to get back in, because like you said, there's several qualifying. I think there's 8 qualifying sites, and they're only taking like 2-3 people depending on how many there are. So that shows you how many guys are already actually qualified for the event.
And it's wild. And I was talking about this with my dad. I played in a couple of Tennessee State Opens when I lived in Nashville, and you go to a qualifier and they still have 4, 5, 6 qualifiers, but they're taking 12, 15, 18 guys. And so you go out there and shoot 73, 74, and you're most likely going to get in, versus they tell you on the first tee at this thing, we're playing for 2 spots. And and you can go out there and play well, but like somebody is going to have a good day regardless of how many good or bad players are in the field. So it takes a good one to get in.
Absolutely.
Do you think for mindset too, like you said, if you're stepping up on hole number 1 and there's only 2 people getting in, do you feel like you have to dial it up for the aggressiveness for the day? Or like you said, I mean, the tips and tricks for number 13, you knew to lay up, and like, again, if you're maybe you haven't played Bay Point a ton of times, you're like, oh, I'm going for the green. I'm trying to score here.
I think knowing Bay Point, I knew that it wasn't going to take anything crazy low. It's just the greens were fast. It's a hard enough golf course as it is where, there's not going to be a whole lot of 64s shot.
Sure.
So I knew kind of going into it, I needed to play solid, but it wasn't going to take anything crazy. And so I think you actually play a little bit more conservative in the places where you can and just attack the par 5s. That was the big thing. I think I had 3 eagle putts, and I laid up on number 9 because I hit it right and made birdie there. So, if you can get the places where you can attack, you can, lay back a little bit in the places where you have to. Because if you make a double or something like that in a 1-round qualifier for 2 spots, it's just a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah.
So it's almost avoid disasters, see if you can make a few putts, and kind of see what it adds up to at the end.
Sounds like solid strategy, especially since it paid off.
It did pay off. So.
Well, and you're playing a lot of qualifiers and professional events and stuff like that. How important is to have a game plan and a strategy? You hear the guys on tour talk about it all the time, like my game plan on this hole is to hit this shot regardless. I mean, obviously situations can change, and when you get to a 4th and final round and stuff like that, but how important is it to develop a game plan and stick to that game plan versus just going out there and trying to play golf?
It's huge, and I think that was one of the big things. I went and played a practice round on Friday with Jay, and we ended up only playing 14 holes, and I really wanted to get out there and just see where the pins were going to be, have a little bit of an idea of what the course was going to play like, where are the chances going to be to make birdies and attack, and where do I need to lay back. And when you develop a plan like that, you can stick to it. And if something goes wrong, like one of the big things with 13 was I knew if I was even par, maybe 1 over, felt like I needed to get something going, like I was going to push driver up there. Just even with there not really being a place to hit it, I knew that, that was going to be a great chance to hopefully pick one up if I had to. But when you've got a, 3, 4, 5 under round going, you can kind of lay it back and just keep plugging along. But like I said, a couple holes where I hit 2-iron or 3-wood where I normally would hit 3-wood or driver, and it's just something like that where going into it that it's not necessarily a birdie hole, and you just figure out how to make par. So
nice.
You have a plan like that, and you can stick to it, and it'll free you up.
Perfect. I always think in those rounds of golf where I always call it cruise control, where you just feel
exactly.
like, okay, it's like, yep, I'm not going to try to gun it on this one. Just ease off a bit, just cruise for a bit. And then, like you said, take advantage of your opportunities when they present themselves.
So I think one of the big things with Bay Point, if you can get through number 5 at, even par or better, you can shoot a good score. And I got hot early. I birdied 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I was 4 under through 6. And at that point, I did kind of put it on cruise control. I knew I had 3 more par 5s coming up, and a couple of hard holes. But if you hit it solid, you're going to give yourself looks. So just kind of plugged along from there and worked out good.
That sounds awesome.
Hey, I'd take even through 5, let alone what you said, 3 under through 5.
I was 3 through 5.
Whew. I mean, those are 1 through 5, arguably the toughest stretch on the golf course, no doubt about it. So, but again, congratulations, Michael, for making it to the Florida Open, and obviously we'll be paying attention and wishing you the best of luck out there, and hopefully you can make some noise and make something happen.
Appreciate it. Look forward to getting down there.
Definitely good stuff there. And you said the golf course conditions were spectacular.
Awesome.
As well.
Best I've seen it.
There you go.
If you're around and need to get out and play golf, go play Bay Point. It is the best it's been in a long time.
There you go. Kudos to Dustin and his team out there for doing a wonderful job. And it's hot, but you got to keep it. You got to keep that golf course saturated because it'll burn up quick, especially out there. It's so sandy. But yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff to hear. Absolutely. We gave away 4 tickets to the Atlanta Braves last week. Coach Olds is going to be going up there this Friday to see them take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Guess what? We've got so many tickets. We're going to do it again this week. We're going to do the same thing. Hopefully, I'm a little more strategic with the trivia question. Maybe they don't pick MLB. Maybe they pick one of the other sports. But it's going to be a family 4-pack. Again, we'll give it away on Thursday. If we don't have a winner on Thursday, we'll kick it to Friday. But this is going to be for the game on July 5th versus the Philadelphia Phillies. That's going to be a fun one. And that's a in-division rival. Phillies are currently leading the Braves, I think, by 5.5, 6 games, just off the top of my head, something like that. But you'll want to pay attention. We're going to do the same thing. We'll take the 5th caller coming out of each segment, and we'll keep going until we get a correct trivia question right. But keep on the lookout for that one. That's going to be our next Braves ticket giveaway. We may even have we've given away a ton of Brave tickets so far this summer. It's the season of the summer of Braves.
That's a good summer right there.
Absolutely.
Also, hey, July 5th, make it a long 4th of July weekend up in the ATL.
There you go.
Not too shabby.
A lot of people coming down here. You can go up there.
Yeah.
Watch the Braves. Get out of the hustle and bustle.
Or, more hustle and bustle in Atlanta, but sure.
Yeah, not up there in Truist. You'll be hanging out with a lot of people. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Phillies fans there, though, too.
Braves are 7 back behind the Phillies, and I'll be winning those tickets so I can take me an extra long weekend up there in ATL. So you're going to need to find someone to run the board, brother.
There you go. I'll make sure the he'll probably get whatever trivia question I pull out there he would get right. That's for sure. You listen to the Inside Drive. When we get back, we're going to dive into all the golf action from this past weekend, as there was quite a bit. You listen to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. This afternoon and evening, there will be a moderate breeze out of the west-southwest, a variety of some sun and possible thunderstorms, and 88. Partly cloudy skies tonight, about the same at 82. Tomorrow, a mixture of mostly sunshine and a possibility of thunderstorms, and a high of 91. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose, hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? If competitive pricing and a quick turnaround are what matter to your business, come see us at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, or you can give us a call at 850-326-3000. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, the best place in town to take a leak.
Are you feeling tired, weak, or maybe you feel old and cranky? If so, I have the answer. It's Max Fit Sports Nutrition with 2 locations, 23rd Street in the Coronado Plaza and in Pier Park North on Back Beach Road. Max Fit Sports Nutrition has nutritional products and professional dietary plans to get you moving in the right direction. So get off that couch and get to Max Fit Sports Nutrition now. Max Fit Sports Nutrition, where you can try it before you buy it.
And now the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
We're gonna have a talk.
Tell me what you know. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's a frantic noise.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to talk golf. We're going to spin that magic wheel. We're going to go Live, PGA, or Corn Ferry. Michael, where do you want to live first?
We'll go with Live.
There you go.
We'll
live and let live. We'll live and let live. Obviously, a wild atmosphere now. I will put an asterisk on there. It is Nashville. Nashville's a huge party town. People, a lot of energy there. But, the Friday attendance at the Live Nashville event was 48,194 as compared to the Travelers' 38,826. This isn't very common on every Live event. Now, the Live Australia event, that's a whole other ballgame, but those Aussies love to party too. But what'd you guys think of, Live Nashville? You were up in that area for a long time. You know the golf courses, and it's a high-end private course that they're playing. The Grove is, and there's a lot of high-end private courses up there. I mean, you got Troubadour not too far away, but what'd you guys think of this Live event and the atmosphere up there?
I thought everything that I saw looked awesome. I think that was a great place for them to go. It's a big enough piece of property where you can host something like that, and it also is hard enough where you can have the best players come in and they're not going to shoot 25 under. Yeah. I think Tyrrell Hatton was maybe 18 or 14 or something. I think they played one of the par 5s as a par 4, so I don't know how that changed things.
He ended up being 19.
Okay, so they did tear it up. But
he did. He won by 6.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
There you go. But I was just telling you during the break, there was a ton of high school people that I, grew up with and saw a bunch of pictures. Everybody was out there. People that, could care less about golf and looked like they were having a blast. And I think that if they can continue to pick spots like Nashville where they've got big crowds that'll come out and have a good time, I think it'll be very successful. And I think it was a good week for them.
Absolutely. And you said something there that kind of struck something in my mind. You said people that don't even care about golf were out there. And, that's what we need in golf. You need people that don't necessarily care about golf but want to go to a fun event going to golf, because guess what? Maybe now they'll go to another one. Maybe they'll pay a little more attention, yada, yada, yada. But, some cool stuff out there for Live. I said yesterday to a couple people I was talking to that I think Bryson DeChambeau was probably the best thing to happen to the Live Tour and maybe the worst thing to happen to the PGA Tour, just given, he was out there firing. It almost looked like a scene out of Happy Gilmore where he's high-fiving everybody, but it's just one hole. It was the party hole. They always have the one party hole at the Live event. So what'd you think about the whole thing, Bill?
I'm going to put it this way. From growing up in the Northeast and knowing what Hartford, Connecticut area is like versus I have yet to go to Nashville. It's on my bucket list. If somebody was to go look at me and say, Bill, here's a ticket to either the GHO or, sorry, I'm stuck in the past calling it GHO. The Travelers.
Hartford Open out there for everybody.
Yes. Before it was the Buick and everything else. But anyway, if I had the option to go either to Cromwell, Connecticut, or I could go hang out in Nashville, I'm going Nashville.
I think that's probably a common decision for most. So yeah, and that's part of Liv's strategic plan, I guess.
Which I think is fantastic. And again, you're coming off the U.S. Open for the PGA, where it's coming to the fact that, and again, Connecticut, the Travelers, and again, TPC River Highlands, great track, and it's fun because people do shoot crazy numbers there. Because I was going to say, Scotty won at what, 22?
Yeah,
right?
22 in a playoff.
Yeah. So that's one of the things you go there for, is to see those rounds, those low numbers. But again, if somebody came up to me and said, here's a ticket, I'm going Nashville all day.
There you go. There you go. Interesting to see. It's one of the things that a lot of people say, oh, nobody goes to Live Tour events. Nobody goes to... Well, the Live Tour events are also a little more spaced out, and they're also all over the world. There's a few in Nashville, or a few in the United States, and I think you're going to see... I think the next one's probably down in Doral or something like that. Maybe they already... I think they played in Doral already before the Masters. But I think you're just going to see better attendance, and you'll still see it kicking up and up and up because, it's fun. They're having a good time. And on the flip side, I do want to mention congratulations to John Pock. He won his first Korn Ferry Tour event. I knew John when we hosted that Camp Creek Seminole Invitational out there, and I'm sure you played golf with him or against him at some point. But congratulations to him winning his first Korn Ferry Tour event. He was what's the number one player? He was the PGA Tour U winner, I think, or maybe he was just the best player. What did Jackson Coyven win? What's the name of that award?
I want to say it was the Ben Hogan Award.
Yes, he was a former winner of that, so congratulations to him. All right, we're talking about Live Tour. Let's flip to the other side. I don't even know where to start on this. We could talk about Scotty Scheffler. We could talk about, the protesters. That was kind of crazy, but let's start with the protesters. 18th green. Scotty Scheffler's got a one-stroke lead over Tom Kim. Scheffler's got a lot longer birdie putt. Kim's got a 20-ish footer putt on that one. And then, of course, you've got all these crazy people run out there on the greens, spray paint the greens. They get tackled by security. And just, wait till it's after it's over. If you got to do your thing, wait till it's after it's over. I mean, and Scheffler's like looking around. He kind of smiled a little bit. He missed his birdie putt. And then, of course, Tom Kim pours in his, and they go to playoffs. And what did they have to do in the playoff? They had to recut the cup because of the spray paint or whatever it was on the green.
Yeah, it was wild seeing those flying. So it looks like paint bomb, spray paint can bomb.
I don't know. Idiots is
weird series of events. And I think it's a weird situation for them to protest. Like, it just doesn't strike me as let's go out on the green at 18 at Travelers. Like, go to a baseball game. Go somewhere where you've got 60, 70,000 fans watching something.
Go to the Live event.
I mean,
there's more people there.
Get some hot chicken later.
I don't know. I saw it and I couldn't do anything but laugh. And it's just kind of, I think it almost sums up a little bit of how the PGA Tour's been lately. It's just kind of
a state of flux.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, and a lot of people were joking, like, was that the Live Tour, or was that? No, it was the PGA Tour event where you had that happening. So it's just some crazy stuff there. And then, of course, Tom Kim makes his putt. They recut the cup, and guess what? Scotty Scheffler wins another tournament, and just on one of the most dominant seasons in really ever on the PGA Tour. 6 wins in a PGA Tour season, but before July 1st since 1960, 3 times. Do you know who has 2 of them?
I gotta think Tiger.
It's old.
How old?
60s.
Wait, no, I think I saw this. Is it
Yes.
Arnold Palmer?
Arnold Palmer. Both of them. 1960 and 1962. He had 4 wins on May 14th. He had 6 wins, and had 6 wins before June 18th, 1960. And Scotty Scheffler is now the only other player in PGA Tour history to have 6 wins before July 1st. Pretty good company.
Where else do they go this year? Like, how many can he realistically get to?
See, that's the great question, because now he's starting to threaten, I think I have that here, is threaten the most wins in a PGA Tour season, which was 19. Since 1983, the most wins in a PGA Tour season have been 9. Vijay Singh in 2004, might have been using the deer antler spray, I don't know. Tiger Woods in his arguably his best year on tour, 2000, and then he did it again in 2009 with 8 wins, 1999 with 8 wins. He won 8 times and 9 times in 99 and 2000. That's just wild. And then Tiger has the other record at 7 in 2007, and Scotty Scheffler now joins Nick Price, Tiger Woods as the most wins in a PGA Tour season with 6. Out of the 9, 8, 7, and 6, Tiger's done the 6 twice, the 7 once, the 8 twice, and the 9 once. It's just
that's nuts.
You start talking about Scotty Scheffler and how dominant it is, and they keeps comparing him to Tiger Woods, and you kind of go back and remember how ridiculously good he was compared to everybody else. But I think Scotty Scheffler's starting to push that envelope a little bit too as well.
Yeah, at least for 1 year.
I think it's an interesting way to look at it, too, as a lot of people are saying, oh, well, Tiger didn't have to play as many good players as the guys on the PGA Tour do now, and so it was a little bit easier to do that back then. And you look at Scotty's situation and say, okay, he's beating a lot of good players, but at the same time, would he be going on this run if DeChambeau and Koepka and Cam Young and all those guys were, or not Cam Young, Cam Smith.
Yeah.
If all those guys were playing all these signature events. So
it's a good question. And what Tiger did, I think, in those dominant seasons has brought what the game is now to what it is by the technology, the fitness, just the making so many people get into the game and being that much better at the game of golf as well. But he's got $27.7 million already. He's broke the tour record. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, but now he's even increased that by $6 million, and that's more than half of what anyone else has made this year on tour. So the next, I guess, would be 13.5, something like that, which is pretty crazy to think about. At 28, he's also already in the top 5 in career PGA Tour earnings and a virtual lock to catch Tiger's number 1. And he might have Tiger to thank because of the size of the purses we have.
I saw something that said that it's very, very likely that he can eclipse the $60 million mark this year between the PIP and
because if he wins the Tour Championship, wins the PIP, and
then the Comcast Business Class Top 10, I think, is another one. That was another like $8 million. So, and that's just on course. That has nothing to do with what TaylorMade and Nike, whoever else is paying him. I'm sure that's through the roof.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of making a lot of money, Bill, assuming Scotty Scheffler's caddy Ted Scott gets 10%, he might get more. He'll have made $2.7 million this year. That would rank him in the top 50 of the PGA Tour money list this season.
Top 50 as a caddy.
He's got some good dream. Got some good negotiating power too. I think we lost him for one day during the PGA. And granted, there was a lot more going on that week for Scotty.
Of course.
But I think if you're Ted Scott, you're saying, hey, I need a little bit more coming my way. You just won $3.6 million, and it lowered your average for the year.
Yeah.
So,
oh man,
why don't you just give me one tournament?
Crazy stuff. Now, what do you guys think? Do you think Scotty, and I ask Keith this all the time, who comes on every Wednesday, do you think Scotty Scheffler being so dominant and winning all these events is good for the PGA Tour, or do you think it's potentially a negative given less parity?
I think it's good just for, again, name, brand recognition, all those good things. And again, you do have the more casual golf fan, tuning in to see versus, again, when it's nice having parity throughout the field. But if you're a casual golf fan and you don't know everybody that's on tour, you're like, who's this guy? What's this again?
I think he fits the mold for the PGA Tour perfect. Like he's a great guy. He goes about his business, very well. And even like I saw a highlight yesterday and they didn't show it on TV, but he gave a big fist pump walking off the green on 18. Like it matters a lot to him. He's not getting used. I mean, he's probably getting used to winning and everything that comes with it. But like, just to see that he still cares to the level he does is big. But.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and, I want to get off Scheffler for a minute and ask you guys another question when it relates to golf. Obviously, this being played at the Travelers Championship, I think one of the shortest courses on tour, 22 under par got you into a playoff. Cam Young shot 11 under on Saturday with a 59, and I think at one point he was like 17 under in like less than 20 holes or something along those lines, something ridiculous. Would you rather see like the U.S. Open, kind of a knockdown drag out, or would you rather see these guys just drop birdies and hit the greens and one in par fours and making eagle putts left and right?
I like the carnage.
Same. If I can see somebody struggling throughout the day, and again, like I said, for the way the U.S. Open finished, to see Bryson like win it, then again, like that was the whole conversation last week. Did Rory choke or did Bryson win it?
Yeah.
And again, I still think Bryson won it, but I do enjoy seeing that kind of just the chaos.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think so too. I mean, I've always enjoyed, because as a golfer, you rather relate to them struggling a little bit and having to overcome than just, going out there and shooting 11 under. And how many and this is the first sub 60 round on tour in 4 years, but how many sub 60 rounds have been shot there at the Travelers? A bunch, right?
I mean, 3 or 4 at least.
Which is good. It's good if you like it.
It's interesting too, like with the PGA Tour, I've been lucky enough to play a handful of courses that they have in their schedule. And you look at when you play it in college golf, it's never during the perfect time of year. You've typically got a little bit of wind, and it's typically a little bit cooler because you're either playing spring or fall. And, we've had a number of people tell us at those tournaments, like, y'all are playing it harder than the tour ever sees it.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see and I'm going to use St. Simons as an example, playing the Seaside course over there. They said that we played that longer than they do, and it's only like 7,000 yards from the back tees. And it was always either in April or December when it was blowing and could be cold, and greens were lightning, and those guys play it in, I want to say, November, September, somewhere in there.
It's colder for sure, and seems to be windier.
They shoot nothing.
Yep.
And I don't know. I would just love to see them play in some more conditions like that, where they've got a little bit of wind and the pins are really tucked. We see a lot of really, really tucked pins that you don't get on the PGA Tour. One, because they've got to move a lot of players through.
Yeah.
But two, they also, want to see guys making birdies. They think that's what the average viewer wants to see, and so that's what they're going to give them.
Yeah, and me and Keith have talked about that at length from the beginning of this golf season to now. It just seems like they're setting up the golf courses, like you just said, to be more entertaining, to have more birdies, for more excitement. I think, like you said, I think they think the casual golf fan wants that, and that's kind of what all sports has gone to in the last 5-6 years, is faster, more action, more scoring, less defense. And you could say with golf, your defense is the golf course. So they set it up a little easier. And, what you were talking about there is a great point. You go play a PGA Tour course, you go play Sawgrass, and, it's going to be set up way harder than, what these guys play on tour. So, I don't know. What do you think, Bill?
No, I think, across the boards, like you said, it's when we were talking, let's go baseball. It's home run chase, when everything's starting to go down and you want to add more points, more scoring, more anything across the board. But I think it always comes back around too, no matter what sport it is. You can't go overboard.
Yeah.
It always has to come back to even at some point.
Absolutely.
So
again, cycle of sports.
Right. So while it's fun to have, you don't want every tournament to be like Pinehurst, right? Where it's just, you're seeing everybody getting beat up and everybody's frustrated. So I think it's a nice dichotomy to have the Travelers the next week after, where everybody's just shooting crazy low numbers.
Yeah.
So I think it's fun to have both sides of the coin. But, at the end of the day, if you do have that casual fan tuning in, they do want to see more scoring. Yeah. And I think that's true across just about any sport.
Yeah, that's fair for sure. This is completely random, has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I wanted to get it in at some point today, and I'm getting it in right now. I came across this. It says, Cincinnati Reds owner Marge Scott was annoyed after her team swept the Oakland Athletics in 4 games in 1990 World Series because it denied her revenue from a Game 5. She refused to pay for any post-game celebration for the team, and the Reds celebrated on their own with hamburgers. The reason I said is because you had the sweep conversation is talking, but I just thought that was a wild one. That reminds me of Major League.
At that point, do you not get paid by the league if you win?
I thought you did.
I feel like if you win the Super Bowl, you get a big check from the NFL.
Oh, you do.
There's always the bonus pieces.
Big time bonuses. Yeah, especially for the team.
If you're an owner, all your revenue is coming in from those playoff tickets. Sure. So that's where it always used to be an ongoing joke for the Bruins, where as long as they got into the playoffs, the owners didn't care. That was the extra revenue for the year, was all those playoff tickets, and it's always just your home tickets. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Is that what the Panthers were doing? There's a little extra rev?
Hey, there you go. That could be what the deal is on that one, that's for sure.
More house money.
More house money. According to Chef Ross, the House Money Cats might have ran out of house money, but we'll find out tonight. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, I want to talk NFL Top 100. I haven't talked to NFL in a long time, and we got Pete Prisco's list coming up next. Want to get your guys' thoughts. You're listening to The Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
For 7 years, ESPN Northwest Florida has been your destination on the Panhandle for the Atlanta Braves.
He just blew the doors off that thing.
But our listeners are the real MVP.
Another dominating performance.
So this year, we're giving away more tickets to Truist Park than ever before. Keep listening to win family 4-packs to experience the Atlanta Braves. From ESPN Northwest Florida, PCB Hobby, Pepsi, Fairfield, Hampton Inn on Thomas, and Home 2 Suites.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601. 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. He has over 10 items in the express lane. He pays with checks and he doesn't return his shopping carts.
You have ruined groceries for me.
Now back to Ryan Mulvey and the Inside Drive. ESPN Northwest Florida. Not sorry.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Figured might as well have some fun. I know we're going to talk a lot of hockey later on today and maybe talk about some of the biggest collapses in sports and try to will the Florida Panthers not to have that happen. And, you know, what's the definition between or the difference between choking and collapsing? And I don't know. I think it might be one and the same, but who knows? But Pete
Normally you choke before you collapse, right?
I don't know.
Or do you collapse
Ask
and then
Eminem.
choke? There you go.
Mom's spaghetti. You got to chew it first, Bill.
I've got a whole theory on the choke versus collapse.
All right, let's hear it.
So I was going to say, a choke in sports is when it's basically going to happen in an instance, right? It's where if you miss that 3-foot putt, it's where if you're...
It's a moment.
It's a moment in time. Okay. A collapse is just something that you can see building.
Gotcha.
And I think, and again, in historic collapses, my favorite collapse I've ever seen was when Norman just completely imploded in the Masters. I think that was, 96?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, I think I was 10 years old, 11 years old, something like that. And I remember watching that, and that's like stuck. That's burned into my brain from being a kid.
Did Rory choke or collapse at Pinehurst?
So I said that was a choke.
Okay.
What about at the Masters? Before he won all those majors?
Oh, that's a collapse.
Yeah.
Didn't he have like a 5-shot lead going into the back nine or something?
But he basically pissed all of it away on 10 because he hit, I think, 2 left out of bounds on 10. And then all of a sudden he was tied. But yeah, you could say it's a collapse as well.
A collapse, though, this is what I think ESPN for hockey has been willing since the end of Game 3. It's like, do the Oilers have a shot? Oh, they might. Oh, they're still a big game.
It's sports media
101,
gold,
right?
Yeah.
For them, it's just like, they're just salivating over it. And the fact that I think this could be the greatest collapse in sports history because at this point in time, you're at the Cup again. I mean, Panthers were there last year. You fought all the way back. You had a great season, and you went through a very good lineup of teams to get to the Cup. And I don't want to dare hear that you ran out of gas because if you have one game left, 4 chances to clinch it, and you can't do that, I don't know what you do as a team or an organization or anything else from that point. Because I know watching the Falcons against the Patriots in that 28-3 Super Bowl, Falcons have never been the same. What are you going to do? What are you going to do if you're a Florida Panthers fan or somebody in the region, God forbid, you're one of the executives of the team, and you just had great year. Does Paul Maurice go? He's the head coach. He had
Michigan Eddie sent me that message Friday night. He said, if they end up losing this thing, do they fire Maurice? He's been to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. I mean, what is the gauge of success? I mean, is it just winning the cup, or is it getting there, or is it getting to the playoffs? So I don't know. There's so many different routes it can go. But yeah, it certainly would be. I think it might get on this list that we're going to talk about later on very quickly, depending on what happens tonight in Sunrise.
But yeah, for a collapse, it's something that builds.
Gotcha.
It's something that's just going to. You can feel it. It's where it's like those goosebumps that raise up, and you're just like, oh, this this is going to be brutal.
Well, and it's crazy. I feel like you can, you reference the Falcons 28-3 and the Patriots comeback. You can feel it's the same thing what happened with the Niners and the Chiefs the last two times they played. Yeah. You can feel a collapse coming. Yeah, and sometimes it'll stop. That leaning tower will just stay right there and it won't go completely over. But a lot of times you can feel that. And I don't know if it's momentum. You can just feel it. Because, like you said, what is Maurice saying to the team? What is Kachuk saying to the team? What is Barkov saying to the team? Like, we got to stick to what we know, stick to what we do. Nothing's changed. Well, yeah, a lot's changed. You're now about, you went from having multiple chances to win this thing to now if you lose it tonight, you don't get another chance. It's over.
I saw a good one where it was a little clip from PK Subban saying that McDavid will join sports immortality. If I'm on the opposite end, if I'm the coach of the Panthers, Paul Maurice, I'm almost going and telling the team, like, look, we tried it this way. We said it was just another game. We said stick to our system. But if you lose this tonight, this is going to haunt you for the rest of your life.
This is a moment in time for your NHL history, for your career. This is, you're either going to, and the Oilers, they're playing with, like you said last year, house money. There was the house money Cats last year. They weren't really supposed to be there. They came back, 3-1 on the Bruins?
Yep.
Not as big of a, collapse as what could be today, but last year was house money. If they won it, great. But if they didn't, you know what? We had a fantastic season. Now it's the flip side. And the Oilers, they were down 3-0. In my opinion, they've got nothing to lose.
All the pressure's on Florida, 100%.
It's at home. It's in Florida. If they lose, they collapse. If the Oilers lose, they should have lost.
Right. Have you guys actually looked at the lines yet first night for betting and all that?
I haven't yet.
Guess who is favored?
The Edmonton Oilers.
Michael?
You got to think the Panthers are favored.
Panthers are favored at home, which I'm shocked at.
It's got to be so hard if you're Edmonton, though, to be like, okay, we've won 3 in a row and dug ourselves out of this hole. Like, now we have to go win another one. It's just hard to win 4 in a row like that.
Hell yeah, it is. But, if anybody can do it, it's those kids. It's the McDavids. It's the Dreisaitl's. It's the Hymans. It's actually, they're both minus 110 now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Ooh,
so it's even money between the two. The over-under is still 5.5. If you would have bet the over-under at 5 or bet the over the last, 3 games? Yeah, 3 games you would have hit it.
You're hitting it. Yep.
Do you take the over or the under in that? You just think about everybody's exhausted. Like, is it going to be a defensive battle?
Which everybody being exhausted could lead to more scoring.
That's what I was thinking.
So I just think you got to go with the trend. I think if you're going to bet the over under, I think you got to bet the over.
But you know why it's always more fun to bet the over anyway?
Because you're rooting for scoring.
Well, you're rooting, and you have the entire game.
Yeah.
Because if you ever bet the under, your bet can be out the window real quick.
Oh, yeah. And then you're like, stop scoring. And you're, betting the over is way more fun than the under. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But, what do you think? I know you got to go here pretty soon, and we'll talk more about the game later as well. But, what do you think? What do you think happens tonight? Do you think Florida overcomes this?
You got to take Florida at home. I just think it's.
What's crazy is they've had one other opportunity to close this out at home, and they couldn't. And they got beat 5-3 in that one, I think. The 8-1 was at home. That was game 4.
Right.
And then they came back to Sunrise. I think that was 5-3. So, and they got down 3-0 in that game.
Correct.
They got close, but then the empty net goal there at the end. And then you just kind of knew that game on Friday that Edmonton was going to win that one. We were watching it. They got up, 2-0?
It was 2-0. Florida had that strike back, and then that offsides call reviewed, which
Maurice was pissed about. But if you look at it, his skate blade, there was white between his skate blade and the blue line while the puck was still touching the blue line.
If you're the coach of your team and you just got not jobbed, but, it was close.
Yeah, I would have been out on the ice throwing chairs and all that stuff. But
hey, what are you going to do? Just stand there and stare?
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, coach, what do you think about that? We're sinking.
I'm sure the crowd will get into it, but it's got to happen fast.
Oh, yeah.
Florida needs to come out and score a quick goal or need to lay a big hit on somebody, maybe get in a fight and get the crowd going.
I actually love that.
If they can pick a little bit of momentum up early and get the crowd nice and loud in there.
Yep.
Because that's what happened in game 4 is when the Oilers went up 3-0 in that one. I think they went up 3-0. It was silent.
Oh yeah.
It was silent.
Yep.
And,
I just think if Edmonton comes out and scores a goal, it's like, here we go again.
You're thinking game 5, right? For when they were in Florida.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
there you go.
Sorry, Game 5. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I think the Oilers were a little raucous for the Game 4.
Yes, they were. They were, no doubt about it. But yeah, I mean, it's who's one game this series had the first team that scored first ended up losing. This run that the Oilers have been on, they've scored first in all 3 of these games, and they've went on to win. So I think you're spot on. And I think whoever gets the first 2, we've said that multiple times, is going to have this thing locked up. And will it be? Do you think they'll be more, like you were saying, defensive, but not defensive, but more cautious? Do you think they'll play not to make a mistake? Because I think the team that plays not to make a mistake will end up losing. And again, I think it goes back to the Oilers. They've got nothing to lose, because if they lose, you lost, but you also staved off elimination for 3 straight games. Florida, if you play a little tight and play not to lose versus trying to win, I think that's what they've done the last 3 games, and I think that's what's come back to haunt them.
And if they play that way tonight, and I swear if Edmonton gets an early goal, you're going to see that rink just be absolutely quiet. Everybody's going to be tightening up, and it's going to be sad, but I've seen it. I remember it was 2019, watching my Bruins against the Blues. Blues go in. Get a goal was fine, but the second goal was just the absolute dagger. You knew that game was done.
Cheapest ticket, I just pulled it up on SeatGeek. Cheapest ticket to get in right now for the game. What do you think it is?
$475.
I'm going to go, we're in the thousands now.
Nope, you're not in the thousands.
Really?
But you're close.
Ooh, let's go $9.99.
$8.44 to get in.
I was going to say $8.78.
Ooh, you were right there. Even in the upper, and that's way up there. It looks like, kind of in between the blue lines. What row is this? Row 3. Guess how much?
Row 3 between the blue lines?
Yep. Right behind the penalty box.
$3,200.
Close. A little higher.
Well, I was going to go $5K.
$42.02 will get you right there. Row 3 behind the penalty box.
All right, boys, let's pull the money together.
This is a hockey
hop
game.
in the car.
I don't even think those are the best seats.
Oh, no.
No. Your best seat is probably center ice, 30 rows up?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what we were talking about the other night. Is like the people that get the tickets right behind the bench, the people that get the tickets behind the penalty box would be cooler than the bench, and there's not as many people in your way. But why would you sit right behind the bench? You're not really going to be able to see very much.
I sat on the glass a couple times at some Preds games when I was younger, and it's really cool when they're right in front of you, but you can't see anything on the other end of the ice.
Right. Yeah. It's an experience. It's the fact that you say you were on the glass and everything else. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Put me anywhere in that rink tonight.
Oh,
I'll be having a good time.
Absolutely. I mean, Game 7, Stanley Cup Finals, kind of a bucket list kind of thing, no doubt, whether your team's in it or not. But pretty wild there, to drop $3,000 to $4,000, and then, you could be part of history one way or the other, I guess. Whether you are one of the biggest collapses, or
or your first Stanley Cup for franchise history for the Panthers.
Yeah. Or the Oilers haven't won one. They're looking for their 6th Stanley Cup. Last time they won one was in 1990, and they're trying to break that Canadian curse. I think it was 92, 93 the Canadians won it last time. It's been over 30 years since the Canadian team has won the cup. So either way, whatever happens tonight, there's going to be something in history that will happen. That's for sure.
Sounds like a new ESPN 30 for 30.
Yeah.
Canada 30 years, or your Panthers in existence for 30 years?
Yeah, because they've been is almost exactly 30 years, right?
Panthers is the 30th anniversary this year. Yeah.
Man.
For the inception of the team.
So many storylines. 30 years.
ESPN documentary crew, they're all over it now.
Yeah, E60 or 30 for 30. We could do one of each.
Ooh.
One of each.
I think you kind of got to have to anyway, because the fact that this is the comeback down 0-3 for the Oilers. But we'll see.
And even if Florida loses, I don't see what happened in Vancouver in 94 and then again in 2011 happening down there in Sunrise.
No rides tonight?
No, probably not. Doesn't seem like the same passion. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's passion, but there's not Canadian passion.
No, everybody will just end up at the beach tomorrow. Yeah. It'll be fine.
There you go. We'll go back down to South Beach, have a couple mojitos and move on from it. But
mojitos.
Yeah. There you go. I was going to talk about the top 100 list, but that's not as fun as talking about the Stanley Cup. So
it's always another day for the top 100.
Absolutely.
It's not going anywhere.
Well, and this is just Pete Prisco's is just one of the guys, whereas I know the players do their voting on the top 100. I think I want to say in early August, right about when the preseason is starting to go on. But we got 2 minutes. How many offensive players do you think are in his top 10 out of the 10?
Let's go 4.
Close. It's split right down the middle. Oh. 5 defensive players, 5 offensive players. Who do you think's number 1? It's easy. I hate it, but it's easy.
Ooh, Mahomes.
Yeah. Now, who do you think's number 2? Defensive end.
Oh,
I should know that.
You should. I think he won Defensive Player of the Year last year, which is a huge hint if he did in fact win.
I was gonna say, just read it now.
Myles Garrett.
Okay.
Guess that.
3rd, San Francisco 49er. That's a hint, but maybe not the biggest hint.
I'm going Debo.
No, Debo's way up there. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
Bosa.
No, but Bosa is in the top 10, but it's not Bosa.
Brock Purdy.
CMC.
No, but
It's not-
CMC is also in the top 10
I knew
as
it was
well.
not going to be him because you said it wasn't the biggest hint. That would have been too easy.
Yes, but you will go, oh yeah, when you realize who it is.
Who you got?
His nickname's a Silverback. Nothing?
Come on, Niner boy.
Liam didn't get that one either. I was like, well, now he knows. Trent Williams, best left tackle in the game.
Yeah, okay.
So that's fair. I mean, because it's such a huge portion of the number 4 wide receiver, not on the Niners.
Tyreek.
Yes, Tyreek Hill. Number 5, defensive or outside linebacker, AFC North.
AFC North.
We got to go quick.
I don't know.
TJ Watt. Number 6, Josh Allen. Number 7, Justin Jefferson. Number 8, Christian McCaffrey. Number 9, Micah Parsons. And number 10, Nick Bosa. When we get back, we'll dive into our afternoon delight debrief. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Do you suffer from political talk radio fatigue?
We know that under the 49% rate, the U.S.
Then tune into the most fun and exciting new radio show on the Gulf Coast. It's The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. This afternoon and evening there will be a moderate breeze out of the west-southwest, a variety of some sun and possible thunderstorms, and 88. Partly cloudy skies tonight, about the same at 82. Tomorrow, a mixture of mostly sunshine and a possibility of thunderstorms and a high of 91. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
In the jewelry business, there is no substitute for experience. David Adamson has over 46 years of experience, 32 of those in Lynn Haven. Designing and creating fine jewelry is more than a job for David, it's a joy. If you're looking for a spectacular jewelry design that says you, or perhaps you need your jewelry repaired, look no further than David Adamson Designer Jewelry. All work is done in-house and always to your complete satisfaction. Stop in today at David Adamson Designer Jewelry, 830 Ohio Avenue in Lynn Haven. They're on Facebook and at tcjeweler.com.
ESPN Northwest Florida is thrilled to introduce the newest members of the Panama City Beach Chamber to our vibrant business community.
Welcome to the Beach Chamber. AccuFinish, Roar Outdoor, DHD Offshore Services, Sun Outdoors, Panama City Beach, and The Wedding Shop by Uniting Happiness.
We're here to support your success and help you connect with our community.
Congratulations from ESPN Northwest Florida.
And the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce, reaching Bay County and beyond.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
You hear it first. Sports talk right now. Back to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
I know it seems a bit overwhelming at first.
Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
Something makes me think you'll get used to it.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City Beach, all the beautiful surrounding areas. 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast down there in Port St. Joe. You can watch, listen, like, subscribe, share, comment. Don't know what else you can really do, but all that's right there on our socials. That's Facebook, X, and YouTube. Just search up ESPN Northwest Florida. We appreciate all of your support there. And, of course, go vote Best of Bay. You can find that in the comments today, or you can go to ESPNPC.com. Today's the last day to do it, so today is the last day you will hear about it, unless one of us wins in August, which I'm very hopeful that you guys have helped push us there. So thank you for everyone who has voted so far, but you got about another 11 hours and 59 minutes to get it done. So go out there and vote Best Debate for us. We appreciate you very, very much. You can download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. One day, I'm going to say in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store.
Just a flip.
Just a flip.
Yeah.
It just flows better when you say Google Play or Apple or Google Play.
Yeah.
That would be alphabetical, though, if I did Apple first.
No, stick with the flow. Sounds better. Yeah.
Working it.
Doing the bull dance.
Doing the bull dance. That's got to be coming out soon. But anyway, you can download those free mobile apps. They're awesome. You can take us anywhere you go. You just pull it up, you hit the play button, boom, you're live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Also follow the Inside Drive on TikTok. That's inside.drive. Hopefully it'll be around next year, but we never know if it will get banned. We'll find out. If it does, just follow us on all the other socials. That's just our specific to our show. So we appreciate you following that one. And then, of course, we got to thank our studio sponsor. That's Bill Kramer, GM, and Kramer Marine and Outdoor, right there at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd Street, the mecca of boat and car dealerships. If you've driven past, you know how many vehicles are in stock. Beautiful new SUVs, trucks, Corvettes, whatever it is there. They've also got express service, regular service, tires at cost. You give them a call, 850-250-1403. They will make it easy and take great care of you. The wind seems like it's finally died down a little bit. Snapper season, all grouper, all that good stuff, Spanish mackerel, it's all running out there. And if you want to go catch it, unless you want to spend money to go hang out on a charter, you can do one thing better, and that's get yourself a boat. And if your boat's not working, they'll fix it up for you. That's Kramer Marine and Outdoor, selling Seabourn, Spider, Sundance, and Skeeter, all there at KramerMarineandOutdoor.com. If you want to give them a call, it's 850-851-0453. All right, Bill.
Be a good day to be out on a boat.
It would be a great day to be out on a boat because you could jump in the water and get a little cooled off, get back on the boat. It's warm.
It is.
Humid.
Florida. But, yeah, fish and pull in hand sounds pretty good for a little Monday.
Absolutely.
Especially before all the sports games tonight.
Yeah. Ooh. Might as well kill some time before the action tonight.
Yeah, kill some time, kill some fish.
There you go. Well, you could eat them.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. You kill them and then eat them.
Well, not all of them. For some, you can't.
I mean, you can throw them back, too.
That's true.
Sure.
That's true.
Depends what kind of sportsman you are.
Phil the fish killer. I have no way to segue into this story after that. I was going to say, speaking of fish killing, but that's not a segue at all. This is from our very own WJHG.com, and the title of this article is Missing Hiker Found Alive After Being Lost for 10 Days in the Mountains. You know, these naked and afraid people, they're out there for 21, 28 days, so maybe I'm not as impressed. But, he had clothes, too.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. But anyway, Santa Cruz County, California, a missing hiker was finally rescued after he was lost for 10 days in the Santa Cruz Mountains of California. The 34-year-old man was only going for a 3-hour hike when he disappeared. I didn't bring anything because I thought I was doing a 3-hour hike to go to work. Lucas McClish, the rescued hiker, said he was lost in the woods for 9 days and 9 nights and 10 days, shirtless with only a flashlight and folding scissors. So I take back what I said. He really didn't have much stuff. He did have a flashlight, which, does that help you? I guess you could scare away something or see what's about to get you, but...
Yeah, it'd probably help. Or I think you could spook something that's coming up on you at night.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the folding scissors, though. I wonder if those are like those little tiny scissors that you use trim nails when you were a baby.
It's got to be something like that.
It wouldn't be like a big...
You're going on a 3-hour hike with folding scissors?
Maybe he just happened to have... Maybe he just always carries folding scissors.
Could be.
But he said he was going to work. A 3-hour hike to go to work.
He just really didn't want to go to that job that day.
Apparently. It would have been more than a week before raggedy-looking hiker was found, so I kind of just hiked each day. I go up a canyon, down a canyon, and to the next waterfall, sit by the waterfall, drink water out of my boot, Lucas recalled. It was a Tuesday when Lucas went for a hike in Boulder Creek and ended up getting lost. I felt comfortable the whole time I was out there. I wasn't worried about it, Lucas said. I had a mountain lion that was following, but it was cool. It kept its distance. I think somebody was just watching over me. The problem was Lucas didn't tell anyone where he was going. I've seen some 2020s or some datelines like this as well. By the time Father's Day rolled around on Sunday, his family started worrying and filed a missing person report. The search was on then. Some nights, although, I just had to trust God that he was going to be okay. And that was hard to do some nights when we wouldn't go to bed at night because I was worried about where he was, worried where he was sleeping and how cold he was or where he was if he was alive, Diane McClish, the hiker's mother, said. Lucas drank water from the creeks, ate wild berries, and slept on a bed of wet leaves, all while yelling for help and thinking of his next meal. Just help, help, I'm over here. Or, is anybody out there? Is anybody out? That sounds like Titanic.
A little bit.
When he's in the rowboats and the guy, I don't even know, he's not a captain, but he says, anybody out there? Then Jack goes away. I'm still mad at her for that. He remembered saying was lost, I want a burrito or Taco Bell. That's what I would be thinking when I was out there too. That's what I thought about every day after the first 5 days, when I started to kind of realize that I might be in over my head. But on Thursday afternoon, someone finally heard his cries for help. The Boulder Creek Fire Department deployed a drone and spotted his location. A canine tracked him down, and Lucas McClish was escorted out of a remote canyon, finally reunited with his family. Met a lot of people because I had more people come to me and tell me how much they love my son and how much they hoped that we would find him, his mom said. I didn't realize that so many people in this town love Luke. Fortunately, Lucas McClish had no major injuries.
So you go out on Tuesday.
I have questions. Like, wait, where's he going to work?
Right. That's number one.
That's one. That's my first question.
There's something about this story that doesn't line up on that
Something's weird.
one.
Yeah.
Again, unless you just really, really don't like your job at that point where you're like, you know what? I'm going to take a little detour today. And instead of a 3-hour hike, you're gone. And it took, 6 days for anybody to notice?
Yeah. Or when he got rescued on the 10th day.
Yeah. So another 3+ days go by. I don't know. What's the moral of the story there? Pack a compass versus folding scissors?
I want to know, did he not have a cell phone, or did the cell phone not work? But even when your cell phone doesn't have service, you can still do like that emergency 911 GPS thing, right?
Yeah, I think that's still got to work.
He must, because it works off of satellite. So, I don't know. He must have not had a phone, because that would, take a phone with you. Like, maybe you're not like technology guy, whatever. You got folding scissors and whatever else he had. I forget what it was, but yeah, why did he not have his phone?
I guess the other moral of the story: pack a water bottle.
Yeah,
because you're drinking water out of a boot, like
your own boot.
Come on, man.
I don't know. Hey, he's lucky that all the water, I guess, was free of bacteria.
Yeah, well, out in California, there's still some good spots out that way. I've done some camping and all that, hiking out that way.
You just got to get out there away from all the hustle and bustle.
You do, yeah.
I mean, I've watched a lot of Naked and Afraid, and every time they boil that water. Now, he didn't have a pot. He did have a boot, but the boot might catch on fire if you do it. But, I mean, apparently he's got a strong stomach.
That's got to be it. How long do you think you could last?
What do I have?
Let's just go. You get 3 items, your pick.
Okay.
No cell phone. Cell phone's gone.
No cell phone. Got it. Do I have a machete?
Sure.
Do I have something to start fire with?
Yeah, you get to pick all your items. Sir.
Okay. And then I'll also take a pot.
Okay.
Where am I geographically? If there's a lot of bugs, I'm not lasting long at all. I probably won't even last one night if there's a lot of bugs.
I'm just going to say let's go mountains, because I think mountains is the easiest one where maybe you do get lost.
Summertime in the mountains or wintertime?
Let's go summer.
Okay. So very similar to this guy's situation.
Yeah, let's put yourself in his boot.
Oh, nice. I like that. I'm not going to drink out of the boot because I got a fire starter and water and a machete. I like to talk a big game. The reality of the situation, if I just because you have to, I say I could last a week.
Yeah, I think that's about a good timeline there.
I could am I finding protein to cook and kill? I don't know. But if I've got fire and I've got a pot and I can kill something,
you're in pretty good standings there, I think. Yeah.
The shelter's a little different ballgame. But that's why I said, am I in the mountains where, you're not dealing with bugs and you're not dealing with all that stuff? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you? Same scenario.
I'd like to say maybe a week. Okay. I think that could be the same thing. Because as long as you can find water, and again, whatever this dude's name was, eating the berries.
Yeah.
See, my problem would be
I'd eat the wrong berries.
I picked the wrong berries. Yep, that would be it.
Yeah,
these are delicious. I feel great. And then you start hallucinating. Yeah. And then the bear just sees me just lying out on the grass, and then I'm just dinner.
No, the drone's over top looking for you, and you're riding a bear through the woods. You got your war paint on.
Yeah. I'm never going back to civilization at that point.
Yeah, that's right. Why?
So
why?
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a week to lose all sense of my former life.
There you go.
I will be the Bear King.
The Bear King. Oh, I mean, according to Jay, just befriend one.
Is that how it works? Is that easy?
There was one spotted in Breakfast Point not that long ago.
At that point, you got to go find that beehive and get that honey.
As long as you're not allergic to bees.
Also, another reason to maybe you don't last out that way that long.
Yes. The key for me in all of these, we watch Naked and Afraid all the time just because it's like wild. But anyway, it's bugs. Like, if there's bugs, mosquitoes, anything like that, there's no way I'm lasting.
I don't know if there's anywhere that's in the wild that there's not going to be bugs.
Yeah. But like swarming you at night, because that's what you see. Like when they go to like the Amazon and stuff like that, they're in these wet areas and they have the mosquito nets, but the mosquito net really doesn't do anything.
Trade your machete in for a beekeeper suit.
Oh, not bad.
That would be a solid choice, actually.
It's a machete, though. Now I've got nothing to cut stuff down with or kill anything with. I guess I could bop something over the head with the pot.
What are you going to be killing with a machete in all reality?
I don't know. A snake.
Maybe a snake. Maybe a snake.
A snake. We're in the California mountains.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else we get? Not a mountain lion, because a mountain lion would get me.
That's probably true.
I mean, I'll poke it. I'll stab it, but it's not going to stop it from mauling me.
Yeah, I could see you catching a rabbit.
Rabbit. Rabbits are pretty fast.
Yeah, but set up the little. You can bait a rabbit.
Oh, you can do the old, where you have the rock leaning on the stick, and you put a little bait, and it breaks it, and it falls on the rabbit, and gives it a concussion. Then it just walks slower. Then I can get the rabbit.
Is that gonna be your pot? Your pot's just tipped up, and then it just.
Yep.
Dinner ready to go.
That's it. Don't even have to cook it. Just eat it raw. Oh, man. Moral of the story is don't let me be in the woods by myself. I am not going to survive. That is for sure. It's for sure. Tough one.
I still think, so he's up in the California mountains. What would be the spot you would least like to be if you got parachuted in with your 3 items? Would it be the Amazon? Would it be a desert? Would it be like cold mountains? Like, again, if you said your odds of survival just plummeted because you knew, like, you didn't want to be there to begin with, what do you think would be the worst for you?
I think I would take, like, cold over, like, the middle of, like, the desert where you have no shade, you can't get away from anything, and you're just going to burn up. Because that would be terrible.
Well, desert's the double-edged sword, too, because it's hot during the day, but at nighttime it gets
real
chilly.
cold, absolutely. But, with the snow and stuff like that, maybe you can, kill a wolf, and then I can get the pelt and wear the pelt, and I'll make an igloo.
I like how you're becoming more formidable with that
I'm
machete.
pretty much Jack
quick.
London from Call of the Wild here at this point. So, hey, it's a machete. I've learned skills. I met a couple people, they might not have been real, but I met them out there in the wilderness, and they taught me how to do things.
Okay.
And I come back, and I'm the opposite person I am now, because I know nothing of that. I don't know how to hunt. I do know how to fish, but I'd never hunted. I've never hunted. It's something I didn't grow up doing.
Yeah, same. I think the Amazon.
I did read Jack London's Call of the Wild though in 6th grade, so I'm pretty much an expert.
Oh, so you're refreshed.
Yeah,
right? 6th grade.
It's
like yesterday.
Yeah, it pretty much was. Learned a little Latin as well.
Oh,
maybe. And we learned how to sing "Row, row, row your boat" in Latin.
How did that come in handy so far in life?
So far, not so good. Now, if we were to be dropped into, somewhere that speaks Latin,
you know how to row a boat.
Then I could talk to somebody and row a boat with him.
I'm like, this guy, all he does is talk about boats.
They'll be like, why? We're not trying to row gently here. Let's go. Pick up the pace.
Not merrily. We're being aggressive. That's for sure. That is for sure. I wonder if anybody's commented on Facebook. They're still talking about the hockey. But yeah.
I think Amazon would be the toughest because just, like you said, the bugs. I didn't even really think about that as like the tier listing of like what I would not
Bugs
enjoy.
are on my top.
Yeah. And then, somewhere down around that way, everything's venomous. So
yep.
Even if you kill something, you're cooking it up. It's like, this is probably going to kill me, even though I killed it.
Yep. Mother Nature.
Yeah.
She's a wild one.
And I was say water-wise, too, down there. I don't know.
That's where the pot and the fire starter comes in. That's why that was one of my 3 things. Yeah. I watched too much Naked and Afraid. That's for
Is it a foldable pot, by the way?
Is it a foldable pot? Like the handle folds?
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary for it to be. What am I packing it in where I need more room?
I don't know. Tie it to your belt.
I have a belt.
Hey.
I have 4 items. I like it. Belt might come in handy. I can make something happen. Let's see. Steve Wiley said I'd be good dead in 4 days.
4, Steve? Come on.
I feel like I've got a little more will than 4 days.
You know what, though? I think the cold, too. That might just knock it out of me.
Well, I think the heat, you're going to sunburn, you're going to be hot, you're going to be dehydrated, you're going to need more water. Cold, you don't need as much water, and you'll start to get frostbite, and you'll start to get really numb, and you won't feel anything, and eventually your heart will just stop. and you'll go sleepies.
Yeah.
Whereas in the sun, you're going to, that sounds worse. They both sound terrible, but I think if I had to take one over the other, I'd take the ice, the cold.
Dark turn for a Monday.
Hey, that's what happens when that was our afternoon delight debrief that we read for 4 minutes, and here we are talking about survival.
Yeah. Well, it's afternoon delight.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, you never know.
Hopefully we don't just end up out there.
Typically, I don't hike 3 hours to go to work, so I still don't understand where he's going to work.
Yeah.
He's out where with waterfalls. I feel like I was watching the movie Avatar talking about it.
Did it say his profession in the article?
It did not. It did not. Maybe his profession is a guide.
I was going to say park ranger.
Yeah. He's not the best because he got lost.
It's my first day.
Oh, man. Yeah. Day one is a part. I mean, everybody's got day one once. Maybe it was his day one. But moral of the story is he was found and he is safe. That's for sure. I don't really know how to follow up that story with
I was going to say,
one.
do you got anything else?
I mean, this is the next one. Pekingese named Wild Thing wins world's most ugly dog.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue.
Yeah, longtime runner-up in California's world's ugly. How can it be California's world's ugliest dog contest? That sounds very California-ish.
They're in their own world.
Yeah,
there you go.
Absolutely. On Friday, the fourth time was the charm for Wild Thing, an 8-year-old Pekingese from North Bend, Oregon, who was previously placed second in the annual competition 3 times before. So he was the Phil Mickelson of the world's ugliest dog competition in the U.S. Open. Wild Thing is a survivor of distemper, a viral disease that infects animals' respiratory system and can also suppress the immune system, according to his bio. He survived, but not without permanent damage. His teeth did not grow in, causing his tongue to stay out, and his front leg paddles 24/7. I hate to laugh at that. His front leg's just going like this for all the time. It's like, stop doing it. But he can't because it's what's happened. In his bio read, noting that apart from his health issues, he is a happy, gloogly pup. I don't know what that means. Glamorous and ugly is gloogly.
Goggles?
No goggles. No goggles. I haven't searched anything up on Goggle in a while. He and his owner, Ann Lewis, walked away with $5,000 in prize money. The Sonoma Marin in Petaluma, California, has hosted the world's ugliest dog contest for nearly 50 years, according to the fair's website. The world-renowned event celebrates the imperfections that make all dogs special and unique, a statement on the website read. Last year's king was a 7-year-old Chinese crested dog named Scooter. I think we've all seen Scooter on the internet before, because the Chinese crested's got those long ears that have like the hair that's real wispy. I think I'd know what that one looks like. Scooter was born with deformed hind legs and was turned over to animal control by a breeder for euthanasia. But fortunately, a member of the shelter, Linda Emquist, adopted him, and the two live happily in Tucson, Arizona. I am overjoyed and incredibly proud, Emquist said last year. Despite all the challenges he has faced with his deformed hind legs, Scooter has defied all odds and shown us the true meaning of resilience and determination, and he has become an inspiration to countless people around the world. I'll end with one more comment. He won the world's ugliest dog competition. So, his resiliency and all that, like for what? He won what you determine the world's ugliest dog.
I mean, I actually had to go and look. For dog breeds, every once in a while, you hear the breed, and it's like, I think I know what that is. And so I actually had to go and look for the photo.
Oh, man. Brutal. But hey, a winner nonetheless. Winning is all you can do. That's for sure.
I mean, that owner was determined. This was 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
I wonder if he started bribing the judges.
Might have.
I mean, at that point, I don't know. Dog competitions to me are a whole nother thing, too.
It's not Wild Thing.
Thang.
It's Wild Thang.
Yeah. A-N-G.
A-N-G. All right. That'll do it for our Afternoon Delight debrief. I think 7. Steve Wiley thinks 4. Bill, you think 7 as well. That's as many days as you can survive out there in the wild.
Until I become the Bear King.
Until you become the Bear King, now you are one with nature.
Yeah, and then I'm immortal and I live forever.
There you go.
Old Mowgli.
Old Mowgli. No doubt about it. You're listening to The Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
The next evolution in sports talk radio. We're back! On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdog.
Hello. Hi.
The only live afternoon show in Panama City where you can win fantastic prizes from amazing local businesses every day.
That's right.
4 to 6 weekdays. The afternoon underdogs.
It's mayhem.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. A variety of some sun and a chance of thunderstorms the rest of the day with a moderate breeze coming out of the west-southwest around 14 miles per hour and temps near 88. Tonight we will have partly cloudy skies and be quite warm at 82. A mixture of mostly sunshine and a possibility of thunderstorms tomorrow and a high 91. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB. Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
Welcome to the Inside Drive, the next big thing.
It's a big, huge, giant deal.
Sports betting, huge reactions, your calls and real-time coverage of the stories you're following. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. But before we dive into some of the biggest collapses in sports history, got to go over our pick'em from last week as well. You know, we picked on Thursday. Thought Jay was coming in, but you picked for Jay, and you ended up getting 6. We went 6, 5, 6, so got 1 up on David. And you did get one of the NASCARs. David went over on the NASCAR.
I noticed that, man. Denny Hamlin and Billy B.
It's about
in
damn
the
time.
20s. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I blame the weather.
That's what a lot of people did as well. But we bet on the game for Friday. Y'all both took the Oilers. I took Florida, trying to use that reverse psychology to make sure the Oilers got that one because I wanted a Game 7, and here we are, sacrificing the pick'em to make sure we had Game 7. So I didn't win that one. And then the first game of the College World Series, Texas A&M and Tennessee. You took Tennessee. We both took the Aggies. They won that one, as we've already talked about. And then Tennessee won the game yesterday, and here we are on Game 3 coming up tonight. I believe that's at 7 p.m. And then we bet all the Copa America games. It got kicked off with Argentina and Canada. David went with O Canada, and O Canada did not win. I believe they lost that one 2-0 that was last Thursday. And then the next game we picked was Chile and Peru. I took Peru. You took Peru. David took Chile, but it didn't matter because they tied 0-0.
0-0.
0-0. No points awarded for that one. And then down there heading to Ecuador and Venezuela. One of us picked Venezuela. The other two picked Ecuador. You picked Venezuela. You got that one done. And Venezuela went down a man in that match early, playing 10-11, and still won that one 2-1. Ecuador got up to a 1-0 lead, and that was played at the home of the San Francisco 49ers, Levi Stadium.
That's a good spite win. Down a man, and you still got it out and win.
Yeah, I mean, Venezuela is ranked significantly higher in the world than Ecuador. But yeah, I mean, to win.
Well, they were just trying to, even out the odds.
Yeah, they were trying
to
spread it out. And then all three of us picked Mexico over Jamaica, and that was in fact the result there, where Houston plays at NRG Stadium. Mexico won that one only 1-0, and then the United States played last night at 5 p.m. USA got out to a great start early on there in Jerry's World with Christian Pulisic with a great goal with about 3 minutes into the game. They add another one in the second half. They beat Bolivia 2-0. And then the last game was Uruguay and Panama. You're the only one that took Panama, and Uruguay, David and I both took Uruguay, and they won 3-1 in that one. But I still like the Panama pick given where we are.
Yeah,
and we know somebody that's from Panama.
Gut feeling. Yep. Old Mr. Sellers.
Oh, Mr. Sellers. Have you talked to him in a while?
I emailed him about a year ago. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Well, no. A little back and forth.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Email. Back in the day, you had to send letters. No.
Well, it's that whole I don't do the Facebook thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and he's still living there?
Yep.
Yeah. I think you told me about that. But yeah, a true Panamanian.
Yep.
And not the ones that come here that we have to kick out. All right, NASCAR winner pick. The winner of that one was Christopher Bell, which I believe David has picked in some of the other ones. Chase Briscoe second, Josh Berry third. Before we got to our first one, Kyle Larson ended up getting fourth in that one, which none of us picked that either. So I ended up winning the NASCAR winner pick with Martin Truex finishing ahead of Chase Elliott and William Byron. And then Chase Elliott got the steady NASCAR pick, which was the J/Bill pick every week. And Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin finish high in that one. So as I mentioned, 6 right for Bill, 5 right for David, 6 right for Ryan. So here we are, still really, really far back. Jay is officially 50 picks or 50 points behind David, and I am now 25 points behind David. So
David, this is more of a question for you. Chase Briscoe, is he good?
He's an up and comer.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe he's won a few.
All right. I know very, very little about.
Poquito.
Yeah.
See,
I watch. I try to watch as much as I can, which isn't very much. But I learn a lot on Mondays because I have a NASCAR
Around the
guy
track.
on. So yeah, around the track with RJ Starcevic. He's got the NASCAR report on Instagram. Go follow it.
Nice.
Coming up today, Faller.
Yeah.
That's like a holler.
Well, I was going to say Chase Briscoe, on name alone, is now my NASCAR driver.
Fair enough.
I mean, it is a great name.
I think NASCAR probably. We were talking about this. Who has the best names in sports? I think hockey's up there, but until I really thought about NASCAR, I think NASCAR's got some good ones too.
Yeah, just from that lineup from the winners.
Yeah.
All right.
The Braves have a shortstop. I believe he's in AAA right now. Nacho. I believe it's Nacho Sanchez, but it's not actually Nacho, but it's like a Spanish name that kind of looks like Nacho, so they call him Nacho.
Even
I
better.
can't wait for that because what's better than nachos at a baseball game?
That's true.
I guess Cracker Jacks and peanuts and
hot
whatnot.
dogs.
Yeah, hot dogs and burgers.
No, I like nachos.
Yeah.
Nachos at a hockey game though.
Ooh, with some jalapenos.
Yeah, you got to add the jalapenos on.
Yeah.
But no, it's that cheese. It's the hot cheese and a cold drink.
Yeah, fair.
Give it a go.
Fair. Ooh, we could go on a tangent, talk about best foods at ball. We've done this many a time. Many a
keep
time.
rolling.
Sorry, somebody just commented on our live stream here that's clearly spam. I'm glad to see your post. I'm very interested in your post. If you don't mind, I hope we can be friends. No, you can't. I'm going to report you as spam, and I'm going to block you and delete your comment because that's what you got to do nowadays, and it gets quite annoying. But anyway, circling back here, we've been talking a lot about the Florida Panthers Stanley Cup game here. Game 7. Couldn't go a longer season than we have going straight, unless you had all series, of course, in Game 7s. But Game 7 tonight, NHL season will come to an end one way or the other, despite even if it goes into overtime. We'll talk about some of the greatest collapses in sports history. This is actually from an article from several years ago, and it was from ESPN. The 25 worst sports collapses in sports history. David, you probably remember this one. The 2011 Atlanta Braves in the NL playoff race. The Braves reached the playoffs 14 times in 15 years, to 91 to 2005, but just won a single championship in that span. In 2011, the team did not wait for the postseason to let down the faithful. Philadelphia was the best team in the National League that year, and the Braves were in firm control of a playoff spot until imploding in the final month of the season. After a win on September 1st, the Braves had the second best record in the NL and led St. Louis by 8.5 games in the wild card race. From there, Atlanta closed the season on an 8-18 death spiral. St. Louis, meanwhile, surged with a 7-18 finish. Everybody started struggling at the same times. Johnny Venter said everything just kind of snowballed, needing a win in the season finale to force a one-game playoff against the Cardinals. The Braves blew a 9th-inning lead and lost to the Phillies in 13 innings. St. Louis then parlayed Atlanta's gift into a World Series championship.
Yeah, that was the end essentially of the Braves run, and didn't really start back up again until the baby Braves started booming.
Yep, there you go.
Tough one, man. I remember watching ESPN and just like throughout that month, and it just got worse and worse and worse. Kind of pretty much unbelievable. Of course, the good old Braves would be on the collapse list.
Yeah, of course. But they're 25 on here. We'll go quick a little bit on these next few. The New York Giants 2002 NFC wildcard game. They were lining up for a 41-yard field goal, a chance to avoid the biggest collapse in NFC playoff history. The Giants had redemption in reach after blowing a 38-14 second half lead against host San Francisco 49ers, who rallied for 25 unanswered points in a 16-minute span. But all went sideways after a low and away snap by the 41-year-old Trey Junkin, whom the Giants had signed just days earlier. Holder Matt Allen gained control and heaved the ball downfield towards Rich Schubert, a lineman who was an eligible receiver on the play, but 49ers defensive end Chike Okafor dragged down Schubert before the ball arrived. Flags flew, but the call went against the Giants guard Tam Hopkins for being ineligible downfield on the lineman there. Later, the NFL acknowledged the pass interference should have been called too, but then downplayed the offsetting rule due to offsetting penalties. But the Giants got another chance in their 39-38 loss. I cost 58 guys a chance to go to the Super Bowl, Junkin said in the locker room. I'd give anything in the world except my family at this point right now to still be retired. So he came back a few days before that game because they needed him, and that's what ended up happening.
That's just a shame. Can you imagine? Just like, I had a good run. Yeah, I'll play one more.
Should have stayed retired. Moral of the story?
Stay retired.
Stay retired. Absolutely. What were the Lions up by in the NFC Championship? That time was kind of a blur for me.
Oh, man.
It was a bunch. I know they were up, I think, 21-0 at one point.
Yeah.
Up by, I think, 3 scores.
Three
is
scores.
as wide
That's
as it
the
got.
easiest way I can remember that. Yeah.
I was just happy that it ended that way because the next day it was going to get cut open, and it kind of made it that much better. The 1942 Stanley Cup Finals, we all remember that one. The reason why that one's important, because that's the last time a team in NHL history has been in the Stanley Cup and down 3-0 and came back to win. The Maple Leafs rallied for a 4-3 win in Game 4 by scoring 2 goals in just 2 minutes apart in the third period, and nearly ended in a riot after Detroit's Eddie Wares drew a misconduct penalty and refused to leave the ice. Just a different time back then in the NHL. When referee Mel Harwood responded by dropping the puck for a face-off instead of calling another penalty on Detroit's Don Gresso for too many men on the ice, Gresso threw a fit. Wings coach Jack Adams attacked Harwood after the final horde, punching the ref in the face.
You know what you call that?
What?
Old school hockey.
That's it. That's very old school. Harwood and NHL President Frank Calder needed police escorts to leave Detroit's Olympia Stadium as debris rained down. Adams, now the namesake of the award, goes to the NHL's Coach of the Year, who was suspended for the rest of the series. The Maple Leafs won out and remain the only club to pull off the reverse sweep in the Stanley Cup Finals. I didn't know all those details about refs getting punched in the face and whatnot in that last game.
I mean, imagine a series that had everything in 1942.
That was it. That was it. You couldn't even watch it on TV.
Yeah, bummer.
I know. Northern Iowa Panthers, the 2016 NCAA basketball tournament. Upset-minded Northern Iowa led Texas A&M 69-57 with 44 seconds left in the second round game when the third-seeded Aggies, desperate for a spark, resorted to a suffocating full-court press that shoved UNI into the biggest final-minute collapse in NCAA Division I history. At first, the 11th-seeded Panthers could barely inbound the ball in the face of A&M's pressure. Then UNI's players began to lose their composure. In the final seconds of regulations, they committed 4 turnovers, failing to get the ball even past the half-court line as A&M poured in 6 baskets during a 14-2 run that forced overtime. After A&M went on to prevail 92-88 in double OT, awestruck Aggies coach Bill Kennedy said, "I've never been a part of a game like that, never saw one. I still really don't know what happened." That'd be a tough one, that's for sure. The 2015 Baylor Bears in the Cotton Bowl. After going 11-1 in 2014, but just being left out of the college football's first ever playoff. Baylor entered the Cotton Bowl on New Year's Day with something to prove. It looked like Michigan State was there to absorb the Bears' frustrations, but maybe the Spartans were just doing an alley-style rope-a-dope. Baylor, with the nation's highest scoring offense, roared out to a 41-21 lead after 3 quarters and then ran out of gas. The Bears' fourth quarter drives ended with a missed field goal, downs, a blocked field goal, interception. Michigan State, meanwhile, piled up 214 yards of offense in the final quarter. They cut the deficit down to 41-35 with just under 5 minutes to play, but Baylor was in position to put the game away with a field goal with 1:05 left. Michigan State's win probability was 0.4%, but Marcus Rush blocked Chris Callahan's 43-yard attempt. 48 seconds later, QB Connor Cook hit Keith Mumphrey for the winning touchdown pass. A loss is a loss. They all suck, Baylor quarterback Bryce Petty told FoxSports.com after his 550-yard passing effort became a footnote. This one is worse because we had it. Whew, that's a tough one. 1994 LSU Tigers regular season basketball game. 2014 Green Bay Packers NFC Championship game. I think I remember that one a little bit. That's when the Seattle Seahawks came back and they won in overtime, 28-21.
Oh yeah.
And then of course they went on to lose the Super Bowl to your New England Patriots on what Marshawn Lynch called one of the dumbest plays ever. And they threw that. Was that Ty Law made that interception?
No, I was gonna say, but going back to that, it's the best if you hear Pete Carroll doing it's called Halo. He's like, it's a great play if it works.
Of course it is. Of course it is. They didn't know why they didn't run the ball, but yeah, another big collapse there. We've already talked about this one before. Jordan Spieth in the 2016 Masters. Keith talked about that one at length. 17, the 1964 NL playoff race, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2013 AFC wildcard game back in, that was actually technically in 2014. The St. Louis Cardinals in the 1968 World Series, the New York Knicks in the 1995 Eastern Conference semifinals, Game 1. Jean Van de Velde, we talked about him last week, the 1999 Open Championship, the 2003 Chicago Cubs in the NL Championship Series. Y'all remember that one?
Oh, the Bartman. Yeah. Oh, that was an epic one.
If you're unfamiliar, Bartman, a fan sitting in the front row of left field or Wrigley Field, deflected a foul ball that could have possibly been caught by Cubs outfielder Moises Alou for the second out of the 8th inning in Game 6. Chicago led the series 3-2 and led the game 3-0. The catch allowed Alou, who would have put the Cubs 4 outs shy of their first
Could have. Not would have.
Could have, should have, would have. Since 1954, after the play, the Marlins scored 8 runs in the inning and won 8-3. It wasn't Bartman who committed the pivotal error or allowed any of the 5 base hits that inning, and it's debatable whether the ball would have been caught even if not deflected. Yet he received the obligatory death threats from the overzealous fans. Florida won in Game 7 the next day and toppled the Yankees in the World Series. Number 11, the California Angels, 1986 AL Championship Series. New York Mets, the 2007 NL East race. Number 9, the California Angels, 1995 AL West race. The Boston Red Sox, number 8, 1978 AL East race. The Boston Red Sox, the 2011 AL playoff race. Which one was Buckner? Was that the 78?
That was 80.
86, same as Jack winning the Masters. Brooklyn Dodgers, the 1951 NL playoff race. Greg Norman, number 5, the 1996 Masters. He just absolutely, that was one of the biggest collapses.
That's number 5, huh?
Yeah, number 5. The Texas Rangers, the 2011 World Series is number 4. The Boston Red Sox, the 1986 World Series. Yep, we just weren't there yet. They were leading the Mets 3-2 in the series, held a 5-3 lead at Shea Stadium with 2 outs and the bases empty in the bottom of the 10th of Game 6. All they needed was one measly out to clinch their first World Series championship since 1918. Boston manager John McNamara infamously stuck with hobbling Bill Buckner and his bad knees at first base instead of using Dave Stapleton as a defensive replacement. The decision unraveled after 3 successive singles and a wild pitch in the game, and then Mets outfielder Mookie Williams hit a ball that dribbled through Buckner's legs, allowing Ray Knight to score the winning run. The Mets then overcame the 3-0 deficit in Game 7, taking the lead for good in the bottom of the 7th on a home run by Knight. Number 2.
Another game 6 there, though. Boston could have got it done in game 7.
Yep, absolutely. Number 2, what do you think it is? You know it personally.
Oh, we're going to go 04.
04, yep.
Yeah.
The New York Yankees, the AL Championship Series. And then number 1, the Houston Oilers 1992 AFC Wild Card game. I don't know if I have time to read it. Seemingly, Bubba McDowell had slammed the door on the Bills in Buffalo when the Houston linebacker returned an interception for a touchdown in the third quarter. Few observers could imagine the Bills rallying from a 35-3 deficit, but that's exactly what happened. The Oilers opened the door for the largest comeback in NFL postseason history with a litany of mistakes. Bills quarterback Frank Wright, filling in for the injured Jim Kelly, rebounded the interception to throw for 4 touchdowns, including 3 to Andre Reed. Buffalo kicker Steve Christie kicked the winning field goal in overtime as the Bills outlasted the Oilers 41-38. Afterward, Oilers cornerback Chris Dishman didn't mince words. It was the biggest choke in history. We had them down. We should have cut their throats. We let them breathe and gave them new life.
Choke, not collapse.
Yeah, it was just one game.
I know.
Yeah,
but still.
And that's the number 1 on the list, right?
Number 1 on the list.
Was 28-3 anywhere on there?
This list was from 2016
Okay,
and beyond.
gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I said it was an older list when we started, but yeah, I think 28-3 would fly in there somewhere too. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But one more segment to go. Let's dive into the Game 7 here coming up. The Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Who's going to take it? We'll talk about it next. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
America's team plays here.
And a rocket to right field. This thing is into orbit.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida. Acuna, Ozzie, and Austin Riley lead the Braves' high-powered offense.
Swung on, belted, deep right field. Get out of here, Ozzie. Home run. Ball game.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored by Brock's Pest Control, Store More Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Billberg Kia, and Mid-South Lumber.
Life can take us so many places. And at Panama City Toyota, we're here to make sure every drive is worth every minute.
Maybe you want a fun, fuel-efficient car for everyday driving. Or you need a dependable vehicle that really gets the job done. Sometimes it's all about answering the call of the wild. And when you're ready to shop, reserve your vehicle online and choose your options. Or we'll help you in person, even if you started the process at home.
Whatever works for you, always works for us.
You're a real estate agent, not a social media expert, but you absolutely need a professional social media strategy. Stay on top of mind, top of feed, and be in more places. Introducing SocialStackPro.com, a tool for real estate agents that inspires your content with the power of ChatGPT built right in. Try SocialStackPro.com for free. Focus on building your brand, building relationships, and post like a pro with SocialStackPro.com.
If you're looking for the most epic place on earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Back to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's alive! Look alive! We're alive!
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. It's time to talk about it some more. It's our last chance to talk about a preview of a hockey game until October, if you don't count the preseason. But
nobody does.
Nobody does. Preseason is just a formality, so to speak. But is this the most anticipated Stanley Cup final ever?
Ever? I'm going to go yes.
I think so, too.
I think it's the fact you've got Canada trying to win one in 30 years. You've got the Panthers trying to, not only did they get back, trying to win their first one for the franchise ever.
Absolutely.
You've got drama on both sides either way for if McDavid leads this comeback. You can just say, like, he can win this one, and be done.
Oh,
and still be
absolutely.
considered like one of the greatest hockey players ever.
I mean, he's up there with Gretzky and Lemieux on some of these different stats and stuff like that. But yes, only one team has come back from a 3-0 deficit in the championship series, and we mentioned it in the last segment. That was 82 years ago when the Toronto Maple Leafs, apparently on the heels of some refs getting punched in the face, the Detroit Red Wings losing that one after going up 3-0. But I don't even really know where to start on this one. There's so many different storylines.
Well, I've got one out of the gate that I've been holding on to today.
Perfect.
So we've been talking about it for NHL playoffs, where it's always, and you hate to say it, but it's how good your goalie's playing.
Of course.
And again, Bobrovsky for the first 3 games was fantastic. And then Skinner and him basically just flipped roles, right?
Yep.
Skinner's been absolutely outstanding for the Oilers in the past 3 games. Granted, it helps when your team's providing offense.
Of course. A lot harder to carry the team when your team's not scoring.
And I think the Panthers only had 2 shots in the first period the other night.
Yeah.
So they looked like my Bruins. That's what the Panthers did to the Bees. And that a couple series ago.
Yep.
So anyway, for Bobrovsky, though, I found this fun little tidbit online. Apparently, on the second to last day of the season, a.k.a. yesterday, guess where goalie Bobs was not at?
Practice?
He did not practice yesterday.
What?
That's correct. Apparently, he's so regimented that they were like, if it's his day off, it's his day off.
Regardless.
So
Sundays is Bob's day off.
I guess. But for the series, I thought that was one of the most fascinating little tidbits, because goalie Bob there in the last 3 games, what do you think his save percentages?
In the 800s for sure.
793.
I was going to say 781.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, games 1 through 3, the Panthers scored 11 times. The Oilers only scored 3 times. And then games 4 through 6, the Oilers scored 18 times and the Panthers scored 5 times. So it's just been a complete flip. But do you think that matters that he didn't practice?
I mean, we were talking about it earlier, where it's like if you're getting ready to play for a golf tournament and you're not swinging, versus like you overswing before and then like you're gone, like you did too much. So maybe for his mindset, and goalies are a whole different breed altogether.
Strange as heck. Yep.
So if it's worked for him in the past, sure, but again, maybe it was time to shake things up a little bit. And on top of it, too, we were talking earlier on the show on their coach, the Panthers, Paul Maurice. And I don't know mindset-wise, because I always, he can be a little flippant to the media.
Yeah.
And he can be, a little sarcastic and everything else. So I got to read this real quick from ESPN.com, where it says, Panthers coach Paul Maurice said he thought Bobrovsky looked solid in Game 6 when Florida lost 5-1. 2 of those Edmonton goals were empty netters. All true, right?
Fair.
Okay.
Fair.
But this is Paul talking now. We were kind to him. We didn't give him a shorthanded breakaway to start the game, Maurice said. I thought that was good of us. We cut down on those for him and gave him a chance. We'll try that again tomorrow.
Oh, my gosh.
Does that sound like the coach you want to pump you up for a Game 7 with everything on the line? And again, you're going to be haunted for the rest of your days if you are at home and lose Game 7, being up 3-0.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and what's at stake for the Panthers? I mean, their reputation. I mean, like what you just said with Paul Maurice there. I mean, the Panthers have been an afterthought for most of the franchise history. Florida lost in the 1996 Stanley Cup Final and then just made 4 playoff appearances without winning a round through the next 23 years. If a team's players were aspired to join at the end of their careers when it was more about temperate climate and less about potential to win, and the Panthers were used to an arena filling up with opposite fans, capitalizing on their cheap tickets in sunny locale, not readily available in most hockey markets. A nice perk, perhaps, but hardly the foundation upon which to build a thriving culture. That's what Florida has now, though. GM Bill Zito has methodically crafted the Panthers into a true top-tier contender. He turned the Panthers into a President's Trophy winner, and when that didn't translate into postseason success, he had the courage to trade his his club's best player, Jonathan Huberdeau, for Matthew Tkachuk in a blockbuster swap that might have ended horribly for Florida, but it didn't. Zito grabbed low-risk, high-reward players such as Gustav Forsling off waivers and Oliver Ekman-Larsson post-buyout, who had played key roles for them in this dominant season. If last year's run to the finals was a fluke, this year's berth was anything but, hence the house money and now not house money. Florida was supposed to be this good, and the Panthers were meant to be at the pinnacle and provide it repeatedly with their play throughout the playoffs. If they let this opportunity to be Cup champions slip away after holding a 3-0 lead in the series, that's a dagger in more ways than one. Florida can write a chapter in its history now that even 5 years ago seemed like a pipe dream. The only question is, are the Panthers ready for it?
I mean, you're right there. You got to do it. I know, like, let's put it this way. If Game 7 tonight was in Edmonton, this is all hypothetical as much sports talk.
Of course.
If you were up in Edmonton and the Panthers, just say roles were reversed, just for laughs. Do you think Panthers would go up to Edmonton and win just based upon the way this series has been?
No.
I don't either.
No.
Versus, do you think Edmonton has a good shot to pull off the greatest comeback? Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think it's one of those pieces where everybody's like, oh, like, Florida, it's right there, everything else. And I think a lot of people forget, too, that they were that President's Cup winner just 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
And they were so high-flying on offense and would score 1 million goals. But I think they ran into Tampa Bay, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they got cut down.
Well, no, they made it to the finals last year, didn't they?
No, it was 2 years ago.
Oh,
Sorry.
2 years ago, yeah.
For President's Cup. Because my Bruins were President's Cup last year.
Yes.
Greatest regular season ever.
And then
choked 3-1 in the first round of the playoffs.
To the Panthers.
Those house money cats.
Yes.
So again, I think it's the fun stories. Like you said, there's a million different avenues you can go on this.
Yeah.
And for a Game 7, too, it's the fact that it is one of the greatest things you can see in all of sports.
And it's not just a Game 7 to win a quarterfinal or even a conference championship. It's a Game 7 to win the Stanley Cup, potentially for your first ever in franchise history or your first in a really long time, and kind of solidifying, I guess you could say, the legacy of Connor McDavid. I think he's been in the league, 8-9 years now.
He's creeping up there. I mean, he's in his prime.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. He's in his prime, no doubt.
It's not like this is his last chance or a window.
They really haven't had this opportunity. They've made the playoffs, but they haven't gone this far and all that. And he's, being likened to Gretzky. I think he's got the most playoff points in franchise history, I think, for the Oilers. Or maybe that was NHL history. I think it was franchise.
I think it's franchise.
Yes, which is a pretty good franchise when you talk about some of the players they had in the 80s. But I don't know. A lot of storylines tonight. Who do you think the most important player on both teams is for this game? Go ahead, David. You got that?
I was just going to say it's the ninth year for Connor McDavid.
9th year.
Ooh, there you go.
Time is flying.
They really went quick.
Like a young buck. Connor McDavid will be 30 before we know it.
I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah.
All right, most important player
for each team.
Each team. Well, are you just going to take out the goalies? Because I think you got to say the goalie for each team. Skinner's been unreal on how well he's played. Granted, I would say the Edmonton Oilers have played stout defense against the Panthers.
Yes.
So, and again, I think it was the first period the other night where they only got the 2 shots on net.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if Skinner gets that support, then I'm not as worried about him. But again,
take the goalies out of it, because obviously, I think Bob's is probably the most important player in this entire game. But yeah, take the goalies out of it.
All right, for the Panthers, I'm going to go Barkov.
Yeah.
It's your captain.
Yep.
Your captain's got to lead the way, especially saying, hey, we've had 3 cracks at this to put it away. We're at
that
home.
all goes away if we win this one.
Yep. All these storylines, everything else, we didn't choke. It just took a little bit longer to close it out. And again, the reason I say your captain is because I just read that Paul Maurice quote.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh man,
he's clearly not leading on the leader of this team.
I don't know.
Which a lot of times, especially in football, you hear the player-led teams are more successful than coach-led teams.
Yes, you do. I would say it can be one of those pieces. And again, coach always has final say, but I always think it's funny in hockey. Coach is the first one to get booted.
Yeah.
You're not firing the team, you're firing the coach.
Absolutely.
And again, I think if you make back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, there should be no way you even have that conversation being brought up yet. Enough people are like, oh, what do you do?
Because if they lost last year's Stanley Cup Finals, they lost and they didn't get swept.
Right.
But if they were to, it's not like they're were tied 2-2 and then they
just lost,
won the next one, lost and then lost.
Yeah.
They were up 3-0. I think that's why it's a slight conversation of that he may be on the hot seat. I mean, NHL coaches bounce around all the time anyway, so even if it were to happen, he'd land somewhere else. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about for Edmonton? You think McDavid's got to have another big game because he didn't have a big game last game.
He did,
and the team played absolutely fantastic.
Agreed. I still think it has to be him. He's the engine. It's one of those pieces where even if he doesn't score, as long as he's on the ice.
Yep.
And we've joked about it because we ended up watching the game at your place. And it's like, who's that? Oh, that's McDavid.
Yeah,
that's
you can just you don't even have to see his number. You just see the way he moves. He just skates differently than everybody else out there. And obviously, you can't do it by yourself. But I think that he's really got to be the big difference maker for him on offense.
I think he has to be. But again, like if you're not taking that big name, Zach Hyman.
Absolutely.
I would say Hyman is a beast, and when he's having a good game, it's amazing seeing how just well the Oilers just kind of rally around each other and support. Because Draisaitl's been virtually non-existent
compared to the 3 other rounds.
Yes,
absolutely.
So if he comes alive tonight, sure. I mean, that's the cool part for the Oilers is I think since they have been ripping off goals, since you have seen that just rally around, like we're not dead yet.
Yeah.
I think I sent you something. I didn't hear no bell.
That's South Park. That's South Park. I think I sent that to David. I can't remember or not. But yeah, that was a good one there. But I mean, and it goes back to what we said earlier. Edmonton's got absolutely nothing to lose. And that's a very, very dangerous team when you're playing a team that's got nothing to lose.
And you're playing loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and that's where it was said earlier in the show. Does Florida play to win, or does Florida play not to lose? I think if they play not to lose, they lose. I think if they play to win and they jump and attack, I think both teams just have to come out of the gates firing because that's been the tone setter in each one of these games. The team that's come out firing and the team that scored first, scored quickly, got up to a good lead, kind of shut down the other offense, it goes on to win the game each time except for one game.
And that's how Florida's been built, is to play like that heavy forecheck and just be oppressive.
Yep.
But they have not had a start the past few games.
Yeah. It's almost like the coaching by Maurice versus the coaching by Knobloch. Is one guy made adjustments and the other guy has not made adjustments. And Knobloch's winning the adjustment game right now because they are coming out firing in all cylinders. All right. Pick of the game, final score, each of us real quick, then we got to go.
Florida 4-2.
Okay. D. Hayes?
I'll go Florida 4-3, overtime.
I'm going to go Edmonton 3-2 in overtime.
So Florida wins 3-2 tonight, baby.
There you go. Hey, I picked Florida last time and they lost. But we appreciate you hanging out with us on this Monday. Please go vote Best Debates. The last day you can do it. You can check out that right on our website, espnpc.com. Afternoon Underdogs coming up at 4 p.m. Good luck to your team if you got one in the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Jeff, we got you back?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Wildcat did something. I always blame it on